Art involves a lot of math. So I am using my latest camera, a Blackmagic Ursa Mini 4K, to film my first camera, this thing. Hey guys, how y'all doing? Really, that's just freaking great. Well, if you're watching this tech video log around the time it got posted, you will know that Christmas was recently, yes, and nowadays it is all about capitalism and getting stuff. So, what did I do? I got myself a little present. This Canon EFS 24, and the goal for today is to unbox it and put it on the 7D Mark II and maybe my Blackmagic camera and take it for a little spin. This should be a piece of cake. It should be 1, 2, 3, whatever comes after 3, boom, and we'll be good to go. So, here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. This is a prime lens. Prime basically means it's at a fixed focal length, 24 millimeters. So instead of being able to zoom, in and out kind of like this to make the shot tighter or wider, basically it's fixed at one focal length of 24 millimeters. And since this camera uses an APS-C sensor, there's a little bit of a crop factor, so it's not a perfect 24, it's 24 times 1.6 or whatever, so we can make that work. The other nice thing about this lens is it's actually a 2.8 lens, so the aperture can actually open up wider than this 3.5, which means we can get shallower depth of field and more light through the lens and onto the sensor. So that is pretty nice. Let's unbox the sucker. Pop goes the weasel. Instructions, I fooled ya. I made you watch a video where I'm just gonna read instructions. I tricked you. Well, some of that stuff just flew everywhere. Come on, let's get one good shot. There we go. The procedure from here on out should be rather simple. So, we have a nickname for these lovely little lenses here. When you take the caps off, they're pretty flat, so we lovingly call them pancakes. There might be different names in different... My skin almost touched the butt. I don't want to do that. Different places may have different names for them, but we lovingly call these pancake lenses. Pretty nice, very small, compact, nice little focus dial right there. So this will let us get nice wide shots, but still get us, more light, hitting the lens there, a little more depth of field with a nice f2.8 aperture. I don't trust autofocus. I use manual focus. I rarely use any autofocus or any auto options at all. In fact, any of the auto settings on any of my devices probably have cobwebs all over them because I don't bother. I like shooting full manual. So I'll just remove this again so you can get a look at the back. There's the contacts and the glass. I just want to keep that protected because that is a bit harder to clean than the front. So here you can see there's quite a drastic difference between these two lenses. Again, this is an 18 to 135 zoom that will step to f3.5. This is a 24 millimeter prime, which steps to f2.8. Now, this lens is still nice for action stuff if I need to change the focal length a lot really quickly. Plus this has an image stabilizer built in. So that's really handy. This does not. So that's a little unfortunate, but this was also much cheaper. So if you want a cheaper solution that's really compact to get wide-angle shots with a very decent aperture size, I think this is the way to go. Get yourself a pancake. And again, just decoding more of the numbers on here. 24 millimeter, again, that's our focal length. And our 2.8 is the f-stop. So the lower the number, the faster the lens. The lower the number, the more open the aperture is, the more light gets through, and the more shallow your shot will be. An STM is the type of motor that is used for, I would say, the autofocus on this thing because it does have electronic autofocus. It has an electronic aperture as well. Let's attach it and maybe take it for a little spin. So now I present you with the most complicated part of any lens swap. Just kidding, it's actually really easy. You just gotta expose your mirror for a second, or your sensor, depending on what kind of camera you're using. Line it up. Give it a twist. I said give it a twist. Oh my gosh, this one's a little stubborn. Hang on. There we go. It's new. It's shy. So, shooting with prime lenses actually gives you quite a few advantages. For those who don't know, I'd like to learn you a little something. So, not only can it help keep costs down if focal length isn't a huge deal for you, like if you don't need to change focal length on the fly, maybe just start with some nice prime lenses. But here's another nice thing about prime lenses. They force you to get a little more up close and personal with your subject. You actually have to move the camera to get closer or move it to get further back, as opposed to just, you know, twist, 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 you know. You actually have to move and get to know the subject much more intimately, whether it be a person or a rock, you know, whatever it is, still life or, you know, a person, portraiture, whatever. It helps you compose better. I think it's a good way to practice too. So those are a few little pointers right there. So now, the fun part. Let's take it for a spin. So before I take it out into the dangerous world and actually do some testing, let's just make sure it's working here in the studio. So, since we do have an electronic aperture on here, we can just use our aperture dial and adjust the f-stop. So f22 means we have a smaller aperture now, which means more can be in focus at once, but we also get a lot less light, so it's slower. If we go faster to f2.8, our shot will be shallower, so less will be in focus all at once, but we get a lot more light. And the focus, that's working too. Very nice. And just a little something different about lenses like these. You might have some glass that can actually adjust mechanically, right? Like I can adjust the focus here without power. But on glass like this, and on my trusty nifty 50, it actually works with a motor. So like if I had the camera off, and I tried moving this focus ring, nothing would actually happen. So I need power to the lens to make it adjust. So now, let's say I go to, you know, take a photo of some beautiful flowers. Twist that, and you'll notice it actually starts extruding itself from the body. So this is me adjusting the focus now with a motor. Now we'll take it out into the dangerous world of the unknown and take some photographs. Oh yeah. All right, welcome to my beautiful photo album. We're gonna start with some nighttime photography. This was just a nice little test. It was pretty much pitch black outside. I just did like an 8-second exposure or so. Get a little bit of that nice sun in there. Very pretty. Nice little tree. You can be friends with trees. Nice little trees right there. And I also photographed my dinner party. It was not as many people showed up as I thought. A little disappointing, but hey, you can't win them all. I also had this awesome soundboard rented for said dinner party, Behringer X32. Yeah, didn't really get much use out of that because, again, no one really showed up. But anyway, also had an awesome Shure handheld microphone for karaoke, you know, for the dinner party, which no one showed up for, I guess. Anyway, this was a light in my ceiling. That was pretty cool. Or is it a bowl? It's abstract art. And then some awesome Edison lighting. Yes, gotta have that too. I had those special ordered for the dinner party, which no one showed up for. And also my ceiling. Yes, I also had these beautiful lights installed in these ceiling speakers. Yeah, to crank the music, you know, for the dinner party that no one showed up for. Anyway, shameless plug. Visit thecomputerclan.com/wallpapers for more of these high-res photo downloads for your iOS device, Android device, computer, surfboard, smartphone, refrigerator, and more. Visit thecomputerclan.com/wallpapers today. Right, so the photos look pretty nice. I personally like to compose with tighter focal lengths and more shallow depth of field, because your shots will also look more shallow when you shoot with a higher focal length. It's math. Like I was told math wouldn't be involved, but that is a huge lie. Art involves a lot of math. But anyway, I mainly got the lens just to get more light in shots that I need to have a wider view, basically. It's really just to get more light for wider shots. But now, let's do another test with the power of video. So I am using my latest camera, a Blackmagic Ursa Mini 4K, to film my first camera, this thing. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna do a live lens swap while rolling video. I'm pretty sure it's safe, but I don't recommend it. Don't take advice from a guy whose legal name is Krazy. So, oh, and it's Krazy spelled with a K. We're gonna swap from the nifty 50, which is what I'm using right now, which is a 50mm prime lens, to a 24mm prime lens, and we're gonna use the same f-stop. So, here we go. Ready? Bon appetit. Doesn't look like we lost any light. We are shooting at the same f-stop. We're wider, so the shot is a little more deep. There's less shallowness because we are wider. But again, that's the point. I bought a wider prime lens, so now the shot is really wide. There's a lot of wide open space here. It works! Look at that. Well, good job, Canon. I tell you, even though I switched to Blackmagic for filming, I still really love your glass. So again, if changing the focal length on the fly isn't a huge concern for you, and you'd like to have more control over your aperture, but you don't want to break the bank, you know, do some prime lenses. Because if you get a zoom lens with a good aperture, it's kind of pricey. But if you want to focus more on the aperture, no pun intended, and you don't have to worry about the zooming capabilities, get yourself some primes. Now, of course, there are some very expensive primes out there. I mean, just look at some Carl Zeiss lenses. Of course, there's going to be ones that run the gamut in terms of price. You just got to determine where you'd like to start. So I'm calling this a huge success. It was super simple, and the glass worked on both of my cameras, even though they're two different brands. They're both EFS mounts. So, calling it a win. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch the crazy and pass it on.